He is a sloppy low-life loner, tossed out like trash from the Demon King Academy. One day he stumbles into saving a beautiful waifu, hoping she'd flash him, but of course he fumbles because his ultra-weak noodle body can't handle shit. Let's see if this pathetic weakling can even survive with his badges removed. The story kicks off with Dariel, a middle-aged guy who suddenly finds himself jobless. After years of working for the Demon King's army, he gets tossed aside the moment Lord Granbarza retires. His replacement, Bashbarza, shows zero respect for Dariel's service and kicks him out like yesterday's trash, saying a soldier without magic is useless. With nothing in his hands, Dariel is dumped out of the palace. He drifts around aimlessly, chewing on his misery. For over 30 years he worked for the army, yet now he has no clue how to start fresh. Hunger keeps stabbing his stomach, and after days without food, his body feels like it is running on fumes. Exhausted, he lies on the ground, thinking maybe this is how his story ends, forgotten in some forest corner. But life has other plans. A human girl bursts into the scene, sprinting away from a beast that looks ready to chew her up. Dariel pulls her aside on instinct. He may not have magic, but some old soldier habits die hard. Sadly, his weak body can't keep up. The beast slams him down, and for a second it feels like curtains. Then he spots a knife on the ground. Normally, demon soldiers sneered at human weapons, but right now, pride means nothing. He grabs it, steels himself, and stabs the beast straight in the chest. To his surprise, the move works, and the monster crashes. The girl, Marika, looks at him like he just pulled off a hero move from the old stories. Dariel, though, feels awkward and wants to leave before things get messy. Yet Marika insists he follow her to the village so she can repay him. He resists for a moment, but the mention of food quickly wins the argument. In the village, Marika's parents welcome him with warmth he has never known. To hide his past, he explains that he worked under an employer until the boss's spoiled son took over and threw him out. Marika fumes at the unfairness, saying she would have punched the guy herself. Her parents invite Dariel to stay, and though he knows he is hiding his true self, he agrees. For the first time, someone actually wants him around. That night, he lies in a quiet bed, remembering how his old life was all cold walls and shared rooms. Now he is in a human home, fed and treated kindly. It feels strange, almost wrong, but also oddly comforting. The next day, Marika's father, the village guildmaster, suggests Dariel register as an adventurer. At first, Dariel doubts he can even pull it off, but when he touches the guild mark, aura flares around him. The truth hits him hard. He is not even a demon, but a human raised among them. His entire life was built on a lie. Once training starts, Dariel shocks everyone with his skills. Every style, every weapon, he nails it like he has been doing it forever. The guildmaster hints he could join the big central guild, but Dariel decides to stick with this small village. That choice makes Marika beam with joy, and for once, Dariel feels wanted. Soon after, the villagers welcome him officially. Not everyone is thrilled, though. A younger adventurer, Gashita, mocks him for being too old and flaunts his higher rank. Dariel just takes it calmly. His first job is gathering herbs, a quest everyone avoids because of a dangerous monster. When he sees the drawing, Dariel realizes with a smirk that he already killed that very beast while saving Marika. Without even trying, his adventurer career has already begun. The guildmaster does not waste time before scolding Gashita. The kid had botched his mission, and in the end, it was Dariel who had to step in, deal with the monster, and save the day. Red with jealousy, Gashita storms off, snatches another quest from the board, and loudly declares he will prove himself soon. On his way out, he takes a jab at Dariel, claiming herb picking is the only job fit for someone stuck at the bottom rank. The guildmaster sighs at the childish behavior, then turns back to Dariel. Placing his hand over Dariel's, he reveals something unexpected. Dariel's rank has already gone up. His fight with the monster not only saved lives, but showed the kind of strength that cannot be ignored. Dariel accepts the promotion quietly, more thankful than proud. Not long after, Marika shows up, a little out of breath, apologizing for making him wait.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
With her usual cheer, she announces that she will now work alongside him on quests. Dariel tries to wave it off, saying she doesn't need to trouble herself, but she brushes that aside. Since he is still new to the village, she insists on guiding him everywhere and making sure he learns their ways. They soon head into the forest for the herb-gathering mission. On the trail, Marika slips her hand into his, ignoring his claim that there is no chance of getting lost. When they finally reach the spot where the herbs grow, she kneels down and explains the differences between the right plants and the useless ones. Dariel watches her closely, impressed by how much she knows, and thanks her with genuine warmth. The small gesture makes her cheeks flush, though she quickly hides it behind a smile. A moment later, she casually lifts a massive log to reveal more herbs hidden underneath, showing strength that makes Dariel pause. He realizes again that being the guildmaster's daughter means she is far more capable than she lets people see. As they continue, Marika notices fresh tracks on the ground and suggests they follow them to catch a deer for dinner. Dariel cannot help but admire her sharp instincts, though he also remembers her panic during the beast attack. Curious, he wonders why she had not fought back then. Marika admits that while she is skilled in many things, she still fears direct combat. That is why Dariel's help that day had mattered so much to her. Suddenly, their hunt takes a sudden twist when the deer they track collides with a lurking monster and begins to fight fiercely, and Marika seizes the opportunity to strike. Dariel joins in, and together, they manage to bring both down. Later, back in the village, Marika proudly tells everyone that it was Dariel who accomplished this feat. Villagers are amazed, and even though Dariel tries to downplay his role, word spreads quickly. Gashita, watching from a distance, cannot endure the sight of Dariel gaining more praise. Consumed by rage, he storms away, for he realizes that Dariel has again completed a quest originally assigned to him. As night falls, Dariel reflects quietly that life in this village is beginning to feel normal. He walks to the guild, only to find out that Gashita has become reckless after losing 2 quests to Dariel. Yet the situation is far more dangerous than jealousy alone, as Gashita had mistakenly accepted an urgent high-ranking quest, something meant only for C-rank or higher adventurers. The target is a deadly creature known as the Blade Death Scythe, a monster far stronger than those Dariel has fought so far. This quest originally belonged to the guild of a larger town, but due to a mix-up, the information reached their village as well. Unfortunately, Gashita, in his arrogance, read it and set out to defeat the monster on his own. Dariel immediately realizes the danger. A reckless D-rank like Gashita has no chance against such a threat. Though the guild master assures him that neighboring adventurers are already dispatched, Dariel cannot remain still. He decides to go after Gashita himself. Marika offers to join, but Dariel firmly refuses, telling her that this kind of danger must be left to adventurers alone. Marika reluctantly accepts, but prepares a bundle of medicines crafted from the herbs they had collected earlier, insisting he take them for safety. With gratitude, Dariel sets out. The forest he enters is torn apart, evidence of the monster's destructive power. Soon he hears Gashita's cries and sees him fleeing desperately, while the Blade Death Scythe chases him. Without hesitation, Dariel jumps in. The battle is brutal. Dariel's sword breaks under the monster's immense strength, and he is forced to defend himself with only fragments. Summoning his aura, he channels energy into the broken blade, and when the monster opens its jaws to attack, and at last, the Blade Death Scythe collapses, dead. Gashita, stunned and gets panicked, for he has been poisoned by the monster's bite. Dariel quickly applies medicine. He uses the antidote Marika had prepared and treats the wound with herbs he recognizes, explaining that everything in this world has a purpose, and that even small plants can save lives. The next day, when the villagers gather, Gashita astonishes everyone by addressing Dariel as his big brother, openly admitting his gratitude. Though Dariel privately feels awkward, since in rank he is technically junior, he accepts the respect. For the first time, Gashita's hostility begins to soften. Meanwhile, in the distant Demon King's castle, tension brews. Bashbarza, now leading in place of his father, hears complaints from his generals. They argue that Dariel's absence has left a noticeable gap. One demon even dares to suggest that bringing Dariel back would solve their problems, pointing out how perfectly he once handled logistics and cared for his comrades. This only enrages Bashbarza, who despises hearing Dariel's name. His anger flares, and he orders never to mention Dariel again. One evening, Dariel heads toward the guild. As he pushes open the door, Marika suddenly jumps onto him in excitement, welcoming him with her cheerful energy. The impact sends him stumbling backward, and both of them fall with a thud. Marika panics, thinking she has hurt him badly, but Dariel assures her that apart from such small accidents, his life has been going well. Yet, even as he says this, he admits to himself that something strange is hidden in this village, something he has started to notice, but cannot yet fully understand. Later, Dariel questions the guildmaster about why so many of the village houses remain empty, and the guildmaster explains that it is not a simple matter and will take time to clarify. Marika is called away during this moment, and Dariel follows her, only to find her sitting quietly in sadness. She is upset about earlier events, and her fear makes her confess that if she cannot control herself, she might one day harm him by mistake. Dariel gently reassures her that accidents happen, and she does not need to carry such guilt. Relieved by his words, Marika brings him a map, while the guildmaster finally explains the truth about the empty houses. He tells Dariel that the village once thrived, filled with many families, but most people abandoned their homes after a tragic loss. The cause lies in the mithril mine nearby, which was once the pride of the region. Mithril, a rare and mysterious metal, carries unique properties. Weapons forged with it gain extraordinary strength, while magical tools created from it can store immense energy. For humans, mithril is vital for their survival and growth, and for demons, it is equally valuable, for it powers their enchanted equipment. The guildmaster reveals that for many years, endless battles were fought between humans and demons to control this mine. It was not just a local resource, but a treasure that influenced entire regions. When he was a child, the demons finally seized the mine, driving humans away. Their attempts to reclaim it failed, and as a result, despair spread. Families lost hope, and little by little, the once bustling village became almost empty. Only the older generation still remembers the time when the streets were alive with people, but now the place is slowly fading. That night, Dariel thinks deeply and recalls his past, remembering how he once worked directly in that very mine under the Demon King's army. He feels compelled to return, partly to see what has changed, and partly to learn if he can somehow help. The next day, he approaches the mine, believing that if he can negotiate peacefully, perhaps he might take some mithril back, which could support the village's revival. Yet, he worries, because without his position in the demon army, he risks being treated as an intruder, so to avoid notice, he cleverly hides inside transport crates and slips through. To his surprise, he finds that security is strangely loose, and he manages to enter the mine. Inside, Dariel sees familiar faces, many workers who once served under his command. To his relief, they still remember him warmly and rush to greet him. They call him by name and embrace him with genuine happiness. Dariel feels nostalgic, patting them on their shoulders as he once used to. But his joy quickly turns to shock when he notices the terrible condition they are in. The workers are now forced to mine mithril at 4 times the usual rate, a demand that is nearly impossible to meet. Exhaustion and despair cover their faces. Dariel remembers that during his time, things were different. He always ensured fair treatment for them. Confused, he asks who gave such cruel orders. The workers explain that a new commander, acting under the authority of Bashbarza, has been enforcing these harsh demands. They admit that life under Dariel was far better because he respected them and treated them like people rather than tools. Now they are pushed to the brink, and if conditions do not change, they will eventually collapse or be forced to flee. Hearing this, Dariel feels torn. He wants to help them, yet without official power, he wonders what he can truly do. Suddenly, guards arrive to check the progress. They scold the workers for not gathering enough mithril and threaten them with punishment. Meanwhile, Dariel hides in the shadows, observing carefully. One worker, unable to endure the abuse, finally fights back and attacks the commander. Others begin to voice their anger as well. The commander, furious at this defiance, orders his soldiers to execute the workers. Dariel realizes in horror that these innocent laborers, who are untrained and defenseless, will be slaughtered. In that critical moment, Dariel acts, using quick thinking. He throws a stone to distract the soldiers, saving the workers from immediate death. Stepping forward, he warns the guards that their actions are unjust. He declares that magic should never be used against those who cannot fight back. The guards hesitate, uncertain, but the commander accuses Dariel of inciting rebellion. When asked who he is, Dariel identifies himself only as a human adventurer, refusing to reveal his past ties. A fierce battle follows. The guards prepare their spells, but Dariel's sharp eye and long experience allow him to anticipate their moves. Before they can complete their incantations, he charges and disrupts their attacks, knocking their weapons aside. The workers, inspired by his bravery, join in. Though clumsily in the chaos, Dariel demonstrates superior skill, striking with precision and forcing the enemy into disarray. The commander grows desperate and personally confronts Dariel, but Dariel overpowers him and presses his blade to the man's neck. Terrified, the commander begs for mercy, confessing that he only received this position because of a casual promise from Bashbarza, who claimed to trust him. Dariel is stunned, realizing that such favoritism was the reason this man gained power, while he, who had worked loyally for years, was cast aside. Despite his anger, Dariel spares him, warning him to resign from his post and never return. The commander, trembling, flees with his guards, leaving the workers safe. The workers cheer for Dariel, praising him as their savior. They declare that as long as he stands with them, they no longer fear the Demon King's army. Some even insist that he should become their leader, trusting him completely. Later, Dariel reports everything to the Guildmaster, explaining that the mithril mine is now back in human hands. The Guildmaster is stunned, for it has been many years since such news could even be imagined. Dariel bows his head and pleads that they must protect the workers who once served the demons, for they are victims, not enemies. Moved by Dariel's sincerity, the Guildmaster agrees, though he warns that higher approval from central authority will be needed. Dariel accepts this condition gratefully, for at least the first step has been taken. News spreads quickly. The return of the mithril mine shocks the region, and soon people begin moving back into the village. With the mine secure, prosperity slowly returns, and the once empty houses are filled again. For the first time in years, hope glimmers across Lux Village. The Guildmaster admits that he had given up believing the village could recover, but Dariel has changed its fate. Dariel simply smiles and calls it good luck, though deep inside, he knows his efforts have made the difference. That evening, Marika enters with food in her hands. She trips, almost falling, but Dariel quickly catches her. Marika! This time, without hesitation, he calls her by her name instead of using Miss, and Marika blushes with joy, and out of happiness she hugs him, making him hurt again. The next scene opens in the Demon King's army, where Bashbarza proudly shows off his new creation. A magical device lies before him, glowing with unstable energy. He explains that he has been combining mithril with different elements to forge weapons unlike anything seen before. Mithril, with its remarkable power to absorb magic, allows him to create an immensely destructive bomb. Confident in his genius, Bashbarza claims that this weapon is 100 times stronger than ordinary spells, and with it, he will rise as the greatest general in history. To prove his words, he activates the bomb, and the resulting explosion shakes the entire area with terrifying force. One of the generals present warns him that to build such weapons, he will need enormous amounts of mithril. Bashbarza laughs off the concern, boasting that he has been forcing the mine workers to produce 4 times their usual quota. He mocks Dariel's past efforts, saying that now that Dariel has been expelled, oppressing the miners has become his amusement. However, the general brings troubling news. She reveals that humans have reclaimed the mithril mine, and the entire supply is now in their hands. Bashbarza is shocked, unable to believe such a loss has occurred. The general adds that complaints have even been raised about his reckless actions, and when he demands to know who dares oppose him, she tells him the truth. The Demon King himself has raised these concerns. Summoned before the Demon King, Bashbarza feels immense pressure. The king sternly reminds him that he has already forbidden the production of magical bombs, since they pose a danger to balance and strategy. The king emphasizes that he has already ordered enough materials to strengthen the army in safer ways, but Bashbarza's obsession only makes him appear foolish. Forced to apologize, Bashbarza humiliates himself by bowing, and though he grits his teeth in anger, he hides it under false obedience. The Demon King then advises him to seek help from Dariel, explaining that the army's strength in past years was only possible because Dariel faithfully supported the generals. Hearing this name repeatedly enrages Bashbarza. OMCE dismissed, he storms out, furious that even the king compares him to Dariel. Outside, his anger boils over, and he unleashes a violent explosion, swearing revenge. Meanwhile, in Lux Village, peace is slowly returning after the mine's recovery. The once empty streets are now lively, and Marika happily observes the cheerful atmosphere. She remarks that she wishes to show this joyful scene to her future children. Dariel blushes at her words, wondering why she is suddenly speaking of family. She adds softly that she believes he would be a wonderful father someday, and though embarrassed, she hints that she hopes to share that future with him. Before Dariel can respond, noise erupts nearby. Gashida is once again quarreling with strangers, and Dariel excuses himself to break up the fight, leaving Marika smiling shyly behind him. Dariel intervenes just as Gashida accuses a group of adventurers of being frauds. Their leader introduces himself as Fitbitten, from the Campbelltown Adventurer Guild, who mocks Dariel's claim of being an adventurer, doubting his achievements. But when the conversation turns to the mithril mine, Dariel humbly explains that its recapture was due to luck. Fitbitten scoffs, declaring that from now on, his party will take control of the mine's affairs, while villagers like Dariel should stick to gathering herbs. He even calls Gashida disrespectful. Dariel gets annoyed and steps in calmly, explaining that the monster their party was supposed to kill once entered their territory, and Gashida was the first to encounter it. His explanation earns Gashida's admiration, and he tells Fitbitten that it was Dariel who killed the monsters, which makes Fitbitten stunned. Later that night, Gashida drinks heavily and angrily recalls Fitbitten's insults. Marika, equally upset, vows to defend Dariel's honor, going so far as to call him her husband. Dariel is startled, but she quickly clarifies that she meant her future husband, blushing deeply as she leaves. Meanwhile, Dariel is left. The following day, a representative from the Central Guild arrives in the village to meet Dariel, explaining him that he has been trying to negotiate with the mine workers, but failed because they refuse to trust anyone except Dariel. He asks Dariel to help with the negotiations, knowing that only his presence can restore cooperation. Dariel hesitates, concerned about what will happen if talks break down, but eventually agrees, recognizing the importance of maintaining peace. At the mine, Dariel speaks to the workers, and they quickly listen, their trust in him absolute. The guild representative is astonished by how easily Dariel persuades them, and he thanks him sincerely. As Dariel leaves, he encounters Fitbitten's group again, who have been hired for bodyguard duty. Suddenly, a magical message resounds in the air, announcing that the workers are forgiven by the demons and should return. Recognizing the voice, Dariel follows quickly and encounters his old comrade, Rizé. The moment is emotional. Rizé embraces him with tears, confessing how much the army has declined since Dariel's dismissal. Dariel, however, admits the truth. He is a human, not a demon. Rizé is shocked, but promises to keep the secret. He then explains that the army has fallen into chaos without Dariel's discipline, and Bashbarza's leadership has only worsened things. The Demon King himself allowed Rizé to visit the miners, treating them as precious members of the army, which earns Dariel's respect. Rizé pleads with him to return, believing that only Dariel can restore order, but Dariel refuses, saying he has found a new life in the village. Their discussion grows heated, and Rizé even tries to drag him back by force. Dariel resists and instead proposes a new solution. The demons should purchase mithril from humans rather than fight them. This idea shocks everyone, but Dariel explains that by selling mithril at a high price, both sides can benefit and war can be avoided. Though Fitbitten opposes the plan, claiming demons should never gain resources, Dariel insists that peace is more valuable than pride. Finally, the guild agrees, and Rizé promises that the demons will pay 4 times the normal rate to secure supplies. With this agreement, hostilities are avoided and a fragile cooperation begins. Rizé thanks Dariel, admitting that only he could have created such a compromise.
Oh, thanks, man.
Dariel explains that he simply wishes for a world where humans and demons can coexist without bloodshed. The scene then shifts to Dariel being asked to reopen an old mithril workshop in the village, one that has been abandoned for years. When he goes to inspect it, he discovers Fitbitten already inside, working in secret. Episode 5. Fitbitten and his fellow adventurers from Campbell Town have already occupied the workshop, bringing their own blacksmith with them. Dariel feels troubled by this sudden takeover, but Fitbitten dismisses his concern. With arrogance, he declares that as a B-rank adventurer he can do as he pleases, while Dariel, being lower ranked, should simply obey. He even mocks Dariel, telling him to return home and act like a servant. The insult stings, yet Dariel controls his anger, though he cannot ignore the tension spreading throughout the village. Later at the guild, the master explains why Fitbitten and his group are behaving so harshly. Since losing the mithril mine, their town has suffered heavy losses, and they see Dariel as the one responsible. This explanation makes Dariel uneasy, and he begins to blame himself for their hardships. At that moment, Marika arrives asking for help because an old man is misbehaving with her. The scene then shifts as an older adventurer named Smith, who at first he mocks Dariel's simple sword, but when he takes Dariel's hand, he discovers something astonishing. Dariel's aura ability is at the highest possible level.
Whoa! Slash, sting, hit, guard!
Laughing in surprise, Smith declares that this is the first time he has met such a remarkable warrior. He introduces himself as a mithril smith sent from the Central Guild and shows official papers to prove it. His sudden arrival sparks curiosity, and Dariel decides to take him to the workshop, even though Fitbitten's team still controls the place. At the workshop, Fitbitten tries to reject him, but Smith dramatically clings to him, begging for the chance to work with mithril. Embarrassed by his desperation, Fitbitten reluctantly allows him to use a small corner. Smith then begins his demonstration. Carefully heating the mithril, he explains that only the right temperature can unlock its power. With precise hammer strikes, he shapes a shining sword and hands it to Dariel, instructing him to pour aura into the blade. When Dariel does so, the sword glows with incredible energy, and with a single swing he cuts through a tree as though it were nothing. Seeing the weapon's strength, Fitbitten immediately changes his attitude, addressing Smith as master, and even asking to be trained. But Smith dismisses him coldly, saying he has no time for those without real skill. Humiliated, Fitbitten storms away, his anger building. Meanwhile, Smith tells Dariel that his true ambition is to create weapons unlike anything the world has seen. For that, he needs special equipment, which he has obtained from the black market, but the furnace required for forging runs on magic, something they currently lack. Determined to help, Dariel meets Rizé and requests his support. Rizé agrees, but warns that he can provide magic only once. With his help, the furnace is activated, and under Smith's guidance, the forging of mithril begins. Not long after, Fitbitten approaches Dariel again, warning him that the Central Guild intends to take control of the mithril mine. He suggests that Campbell Town's adventurers and Dariel join forces to fight together. However, Dariel firmly refuses, saying that his loyalty lies with the village. Angered by this rejection, Fitbitten challenges him to a duel. The guildmaster explains the rules, reminding Dariel that in such duels one adventurer can even kill the other without facing punishment. He warns that Fitbitten holds a higher rank and possesses a mithril weapon, making the fight dangerous. Even so, Dariel accepts, determined to protect the village. The following day, the villagers gather to watch. Fitbitten arrives wielding a large mithril sword, while Dariel carries the mithril dagger forged by Smith. Fitbitten mocks him, laughing that a dagger can never stand against a sword. The guildmaster then sets the rules. The fight will continue until one side surrenders or is unable to continue. The duel begins with Fitbitten attacking at full force, but Dariel responds with speed and precision. The mithril dagger reacts to his aura, extending and shifting in ways that counter Fitbitten's strikes. Bit by bit, Dariel pushes him back, and at last his dagger shatters Fitbitten's sword. Shocked but unwilling to yield, Fitbitten draws another weapon, yet Dariel swiftly disarms him once again and forces him to the ground. With this, the duel ends, and Dariel emerges as the clear winner. Instead of punishing Fitbitten, he orders him and his companions to repair the damage they caused to the village. Fitbitten accepts, realizing his mistakes. After the duel, the guild acknowledges Dariel's strength and leadership, and Bestford even considers him for a central guild position. However, this new possibility casts uncertainty over his future, leaving Marika uneasy. The episode closes with Dariel deep in thought while bathing, when unexpectedly Marika approaches him, preparing to reveal something important. Then she asks him directly if he will ever go to the central city, as she explains that she always felt they had limited time together, so she wanted to talk to him more. She admits that from the very beginning she believed he would eventually reach the central city, because in her eyes, he is an amazing person. Since the day Dariel arrived in Lux Village, the entire place has changed. Many people have chosen to settle here because of him, and because of that, both her father and the villagers feel deeply happy. Marika confesses that she is happy too, and that these feelings came to her only because of him. She sincerely thanks him, and her words leave Dariel silent for a while. Marika then assures him that no matter where he goes, she will always cheer for him and support him. Dariel thinks quietly that Marika has always been like this, hiding her true feelings behind a smile. Then he finally speaks, saying he has no intention of going to the central city. When he was fired from the Demon King's army, he had nowhere to go, and it was Marika who brought him to Lux Villa Inge. He says he has grown to love this village, and above all, he cannot imagine leaving the meals she cooks for him. Hearing this, Marika cannot control her tears. She feels truly happy just by being with him. Dariel feels the same, and when they embrace, he realizes he has found yet another reason to remain in the village, and after that they kiss each other. The scene then shifts as Bashbarza visits his father, Granbarza. To his surprise, Granbarza is seen striking his body with his weapon, explaining that the injury he once received from a hero heals faster when he applies such treatment. Later, during a meal, the discussion turns toward the performance of the 4 general, and Granbarza asks how things are progressing, and Bashbarza responds that everything is going well. Granbarza praises this and then reminds him about Dariel, explaining that when he announced his retirement, many demons were shocked, because he was considered the strongest and no one wanted him to step down. However, it was only because of Dariel's excellent service that the people accepted the new general with trust. Granbarza recalls telling Bashbarza at the time that Dariel was a blessing in his life, and that handing over the position was like a gift, supported by Dariel's dedication. He asks again whether Bashbarza remembers those words, and Bashbarza admits that he does. Granbarza then inquires how Dariel is doing now and whether he is causing any trouble. Bashbarza becomes nervous but quickly assures him that Dariel is working sincerely and helping everyone, so there is no need to worry. However, Granbarza suddenly lifts the table and strikes him hard. Then, with a powerful punch, he sends Bashbarza crashing through the wall. Shocked, Bashbarza demands to know why his father did this. Granbarza reveals that many demons have been complaining, saying their sons and nephews lost their jobs, and he discovered it was Bashbarza who dismissed them. Granbarza scolds him harshly, saying he made a huge mistake by letting go of a priceless treasure like Dariel. He orders Bashbarza to bring him back immediately and apologize, but Bashbarza refuses, declaring that he will never rely on a useless person and will instead prove his strength by using his own ability. With this prideful statement, he storms out. Granbarza sighs and wonders why his son and Dariel cannot work together. The next morning, the Guildmaster asks if Dariel can handle an increasing workload related to gathering herbs. Dariel immediately agrees, but he wonders whether the master has learned something about last night. After that, Marika's mother quietly whispers to him, saying she prays he and Marika will always stay together happily. Her words make him nervous, and sweat runs down his face. He wonders if they already know everything, but he decides he cannot hide for too long. Dariel begins to think seriously that he should ask for Marika's hand in marriage, like a responsible man. Just then, the Guildmaster appears carrying an axe, and Dariel panics. However, the Guildmaster calmly explains that he and his wife are getting older, and it is time for Dariel and Marika to take on responsibilities. Dariel mistakenly believes the Master already knows what happened last night, so he prepares to confess everything. But instead, the Master says he wants Dariel to become the chief of the village. Dariel is shocked, feeling unworthy, but the Master insists that because Dariel reclaimed the Mithril Mine, the village was revived and now prospers. Therefore, he is fully qualified to lead. At first, Dariel hesitates, but after looking at Marika standing nearby, he finally accepts, saying he will become the village chief, but before that he has one request. He asks permission to marry Marika, promising to always keep her happy. Shocked but supportive, the Master agrees. Dariel then turns to Marika and directly asks if she will marry him. Marika, overwhelmed with joy, embraces him, and they declare their happiness and decide to stay together forever. Soon after, Dariel officially marries Marika, and together they build a family. Time passes, and Dariel becomes the respected chief of Lux Village, guiding its growth while also managing the thriving Mithril Mine. He and Marika welcome a son, whom Dariel names Gran, in honor of his adoptive father, Granbarza, who raised him for 30 years. Life seems peaceful, but suddenly, an urgent message arrives. Gashida reports that heroes are approaching, and the situation could become serious. Dariel remembers the terrifying strength of heroes he once faced, and worries what this visit means. The Guildmaster assigns him the duty of greeting the heroes, so he prepares himself with his weapon, ready in case of battle. However, instead of an old bearded warrior, a young woman steps out, introducing herself as Lady. She firmly states that women can also fight bravely, and they should not be judged by appearance. Her determination surprises him. Then the hero explains that she and her companions are here to order mithril weapons, essential for their mission against the Demon King. Later, they all sit together to discuss matters, and Lady tells them that she and her group have come with two clear objectives. The first is related to the mithril weapons, and she requests to see them. At that moment, the guildmaster arrives and tells Dariel that since Lady has never seen mithril weapons before, it is Dariel's responsibility to show them. Dariel agrees, and he leads the group to the workshop. There, he explains that this workshop is unique, because it is the only place where mithril is crafted into weapons. To demonstrate, Dariel channels his aura into a mithril weapon, surprising the group, and the conversation shifts toward custom-made weapons. Dariel calls in Sakai, the village's #1 blacksmith, who bows respectfully and expresses how honored he feels to receive the opportunity of creating weapons for heroes. He carefully examines Lady's hand and begins rubbing it. Dariel explains that this is Sakai's unique skill, and it is essential for crafting personalized weapons. Eventually, Sakai confirms Lady's aura type, making her shocked. Once this matter is settled, Lady reveals their second objective. She tells them that their group needs a fourth member. At that very moment, Gashida interrupts and declares that he wants to take the responsibility of fulfilling that role. Soon, the scene shifts to the village ground, where a selection tournament is arranged. Lady then warns that defeating the Demon King is not a child's game, but Dariel notices how the villagers are still overjoyed, because anyone chosen as part of the hero's group will receive complete support from the Central Guild, and that is why everyone is eager to participate. The selection match begins, and Lady's group faces 26 fighters. Surprisingly, Lady holds only a wooden sword, Satomi carries nothing more than a lead pipe, and Sesha wields a tree branch. The villagers laugh, thinking this will be easy. However, as soon as the fight begins, the trio overwhelms their opponents one after another. During the battle, arrows suddenly fly toward Lady, and she instantly realizes they are coming from Gashida himself, and she moves forward, dodges the attacks, and evaluates his skills, saying that although his power is impressive, his precision needs work. Just as Gashida prepares a powerful arrow, Lady also begins casting a dangerous spell to counter it, and at that moment, Dariel, sensing the danger, throws an apple at Lady's hand and interrupts her spell. Satomi asks if Lady was really planning to use such a powerful spell during the tournament, and Lady insists it was only for defense. Meanwhile, Gashida approaches Dariel in tears, feeling like a failure, but Dariel reassures him that he is becoming stronger day by day, and that he is the pride of their village. Hearing this encouragement, Lady becomes curious, and challenges Dariel directly, asking if he will fight her. Dariel refuses, saying he has retired from adventuring, but Lady ignores his words, declaring that even Gashida has more spirit than him. Then, without waiting, she suddenly attacks. Dariel quickly blocks with his mithril knife. The battle intensifies. And Dariel climbs up a rock to create distance, but Lady slashes through the rock itself, chasing him without pause. At this point, Lady throws aside her wooden sword, pulls out her real blade, and begins casting the same destructive spell she almost used earlier. Dariel recognizes it immediately, as he has seen it countless times before, so he knows he must neutralize it. When Lady unleashes her technique, Dariel mirrors her and produces the exact same skill. Their two forces collide violently, sending a massive shockwave across the field. Everyone realizes how strong Dariel truly is, and Lady herself is astonished by his hidden power. After the fight, Lady and her companions asks Dariel to become the fourth member of the hero's group. However, he politely declines, explaining that he has many responsibilities in the village. Later, Dariel returns home, where he tends to his child. At that moment, Lady approaches him again and urges him to join her party, claiming they need him. Dariel, however, apologizes and explains that he wants to stay in the village, raise his child, and cherish his family life. Lady becomes frustrated, claiming he is wasting his strength on such minor tasks when he could defeat the Demon King. Angered, she storms out, while Dariel recalls a past moment with Doroi, who is still searching for him and wants him back, so he firmly tells himself that he will never fight against the Demon King's army. The next morning, Lady and Satomi secretly follow him, curious to see what is so important to him. They disguise themselves and watch as Dariel spends the entire day helping villagers, repairing, supporting, and caring for them, and soon they realize his life is full of responsibility. At night, Lady calls Dariel outside privately and asks him about the technique he used during their fight, wondering how he learned it. Dariel replies that he simply copied her. Lady, however, recognizes the truth and tells him that the move he used is actually the legendary skill once mastered by the previous hero, Alan Sill, called Fearsome Skyrend. This technique was feared across the land for its overwhelming power. Dariel is shocked, as he never realized the move he imitated was so dangerous. Lady then recalls her meeting with the previous hero, how he warned her not to become like him, since his life as a hero had cost him his family. His wife and child had been killed by demons, and although he fought bravely, he never recovered his son's body, and his pain became the reason he continued fighting. Lady admits that she still wants to inherit his will, but she needs more strength to do so. That is why she turns to Dariel and asks him to become her teacher. Dariel is startled, uncertain about training a hero, but after thinking it through, he realizes that teaching her could also allow him to monitor her path and possibly guide her away from unnecessary destruction. Therefore, he finally agrees to help her. The next morning, Doroy continues her search. Meanwhile, Zebiantes surprisingly tracks down Dariel while following Rizé. While Dariel and Rizé are having a conversation, at that moment, an unexpected visitor appears. She is Zebiantes. Dariel is startled to see her in the village. She wastes no time and begins punishing Rizé, scolding him for hiding Dariel's whereabouts even though he knows that Doroy has been searching for him for so long. Later, when Zebiantes enters Dariel's house, Marika mistakes her for a guest and runs to prepare a drink for her. Soon after, Zebiantes boldly sits down and teases Dariel, saying that it has been a long time since she last saw his boring face. Marika overhears this as she brings drinks, trying to hold herself back. She opens the bottle too forcefully, causing the cork to fly across the room and crash into the wall, leaving a large hole. She then politely but firmly tells Zebiantes where to sit, which makes the demon general surprisingly nervous. Dariel, uneasy, asks Zebiantes why she is here, and she replies that she came not to find him, but to check on Mithril directly, because no one was giving her information. Then she quickly demands Mithril from Dariel, ordering him to hand it all over, but Dariel refuses, saying that while he manages the mine, he cannot break the trust placed in him by both the Central Guild and Rizé. His refusal makes Zebiantes furious, and she declares that if words won't work, she will use force. Outside, a battle begins. Zebiantes attacks with powerful wind magic, but Dariel skillfully dodges. When he warns her to stop, she ignores him and flies into the air, preparing stronger spells. But Dariel calmly draws his mithril dagger, declaring that he will defend the village no matter what. Seeing this, Zebiantes realizes he is serious, but still challenges him, and their duel begins in earnest. Dariel moves quickly, and with the unique property of mithril reacting to his aura, he manages to counter her attacks. Twice he disarms her, but she still refuses to give up. Finally, frustrated, she declares she will unleash her strongest magic, Geostorm. Rizé panics, recognizing the spell's destructive power, and warns that the whole village could be blown away. Dariel immediately responds by using the technique Sky Rend. His aura surges, and the two massive powers clash. Zebiantes' storm begins to collapse under the pressure of Dariel's attack. She loses control and falls from the sky, but before she hits the ground, Rizé uses water magic to catch her safely. In the commotion, Dariel accidentally grabs her clothing, ending up with her undergarments in his hand. Mortified, Zebiantes threatens to tell Marika, but Dariel quickly apologizes and promises to make it up to her.
Oh, sorry.
Pleased with this, she accepts his apology and agrees not to reveal what happened. After the fight, Dariel asks Zebiantes to keep the incident secret from everyone. AMD she agrees, but demands mithril weapons in return. Seeing no other option, Dariel promises to help her. Meanwhile, Sakai the blacksmith happily begins forging, encouraged by Dariel's words. Soon after, Dariel learns that the hero's party is returning to the village, so he asks Sakai to keep Zebiantes hidden for now, fearing problems if they are seen together. He rushes to meet the hero's group outside, distracting them with excuses to keep them busy. At night, while the women bathe in the hot spring, Lady and Zebiantes meet face to face, and tension rises between them. Fearing a fight, Dariel rushes in, only to be slapped by both of them. Later at dinner, Marika suddenly announces that she has something important to discuss with Dariel after the meal, and he grows nervous, thinking he is in trouble. Meanwhile, Zebiantes finally reveals her identity to Lady, calling herself a demon general. This shocks everyone. Dariel, however, admits the truth. He is a human who once served the demons. At first, this revelation stuns the room, but Marika calmly says that she already knew, as Dariel confessed everything before their marriage, and it did not matter to her whether he was human or demon. Her love for him remained the same. Lady also responds, saying that she understands his position, but she insists that Zebiantes should not stay in the village. The two women almost begin fighting again, but Marika steps in, stopping them for a while. But the next morning, Lady and Zebiantes formally duel under Dariel's supervision, and he sets one rule: no killing, regardless of the outcome. Soon the duel begins, and the villagers gather to watch, as Lady and Zebiantes unleash powerful attacks. At one point, the shockwave is so strong that Satome struggles to maintain a protective barrier, and Dariel joins in to help. Both fighters clash with overwhelming force, their spells colliding in midair. In the chaos, a rock nearly falls on Dariel's son, Gran, as he is going to hug Lady, so Lady leaps forward to save him, and Zebiantes also intervenes with her sword, destroying the falling debris. The battle then slows, and realizing that neither of them truly wants to kill the other, Lady suggests they end the fight, and surprisingly, Zebiantes agrees, admitting it was fun. Everyone cheer, and a new bond begins forming between the two rivals. In the next scene, Sesha approaches Dariel, introducing an important personality he has found wandering nearby. To Dariel's shock, it is none other than the previous hero, Alansel. At that very moment, Zebiantes also comes there, and she casually remarks that Alansil's chest is showing. Dariel immediately panics inside, thinking that she has just doomed herself, then he quickly interrupts, explaining that this man is none other than the strongest hero in history, Alansil. The burn mark across his chest is the result of blocking the deadliest attack of Granbarza. Zebiantes is surprised and asks if he really fought Granbarza and still lived, and Dariel firmly replies that this is exactly why Alansil is considered so strong. Later, Dariel invites Alansil to his home. As soon as he arrives, Alansil shakes hands with Zebiantes as well, before happily sitting on the sofa. Zebiantes comments that the old hero seems very kind, but Dariel warns her not to be fooled, and tells her that this is only an act, and the moment Alansil gets the chance, he will strike. Dariel advises her that if she wants to escape, she must do so quietly without using magic, since Alansil can sense magical energy. Zebiantes agrees and promises she will make no mistake. Soon, Lady arrives at the house and meets Alansil. She feels guilty for taking too long to defeat the Demon King, but Alansil tells her not to apologize, because it was his mistake for sending her too early. Now that his injuries have healed, he wishes to give her the training he could not provide before. Lady feels overjoyed at the chance to train with the strongest hero, while Dariel secretly thinks this is perfect timing, because Zebiantes can use this opportunity to slip away. The group then heads toward the training grounds, where the practice match between Lady and Alansil begins. Lady launches attacks with her sword, but Alansil effortlessly dodges them while casually signing autographs on pieces of paper, astonishing everyone. Lady is unable to land a single blow. Suddenly, Alansil catches her sword, twists it, and slams her hard to the ground. Dariel realizes just how overwhelming Alansil's strength truly is. Alansil praises Lady for her improvement, and Lady replies that her growth is thanks to Dariel's training. She even claims that Dariel is as strong as Alansil himself, which embarrasses Dariel. Alansil then takes out a wooden staff and declares he wants to fight Dariel directly, curious to see the man his student praises so highly. Dariel tries to refuse, saying he is no longer even an adventurer, but the villagers watching encourage the duel. Dariel grows tense when he senses the dangerous aura radiating from Alansil, so he suggests they eat before fighting, and Alansil agrees. While eating outside, Alansil enjoys the lunch, and remarks that it has been a long time since he has eaten homemade food. Dariel recalls that he had once heard from Lady about Alansil's tragic loss of his wife and kid. Meanwhile, Zebiantes attempts to quietly leave the village, but while walking, she notices a piece of cloth blowing away in the wind. Instinctively, she uses magic to catch it. Alansil immediately senses this magic, his eyes narrowing in anger. He throws his staff, which pins her clothes to the wall, trapping her. Approaching her, he declares that she is a demon and raises a dagger to strike her down. Dariel rushes forward and blocks him, declaring firmly that even if Zebiantes is a demon, no one is allowed to harm anyone in his village. Alansil grows furious, unleashing powerful magic. Dariel counters with his shield, but the force of the attack sends him flying back. He rises again and pulls Zebiantes away with his whip, shielding her. Alansil continues pressing the attack, shattering Dariel's defenses, but Dariel refuses to back down. Lady and Gashida arrive, but Dariel tells them to stay back. Meanwhile, Alansil acknowledges Dariel's surprising strength and says that he could still become a hero to fight against demons, but Dariel refuses, saying he will not take that path. Alansil, angered, unleashes his strongest skill, Sky Rend, and Dariel bravely counters with the same ability, and the two devastating attacks collide, creating a massive explosion. The battle continues until Alansil confronts him, demanding to know why he protects a demon. Dariel replies that what matters is not race, but the simple fact that he cannot bear to see anyone get hurt. He explains that Alansil himself suffered greatly after losing his wife and child, and Dariel cannot imagine such pain. He says he now has a wife and a child of his own, and the mere thought of losing them terrifies him. For him, Zebiantes is also someone precious, and if he lost her, his heart would break. Hearing this, Zebiantes begins to cry. Alansil is shaken further when Dariel reveals that he was raised by a demon, which shocks the old hero deeply. The scene then shifts to the Demon King's castle. Granbarza meets the Demon King, who is currently in dragon form. He requests that his son Bashbarza be removed from duty, because ever since his defeat he has abandoned his responsibilities. The Demon King accuses Granbarza of being biased, and points out that he values Dariel more than his own son. The story flashes back 33 years. As General Bezatan lay dying, he gave Bashbarza the location of a child, telling him to raise that child to one day kill Alansil. Bashbarza found the infant Dariel in the forest, named him, and raised him as his own. Back in the present, Dariel reveals this past, telling Alansil that he was raised by Granbarza, trusted upon him by Bezida. Hearing this, Alansil recalls that Bezatan was the man who killed his wife and stole his child. Realizing the truth, he asks Dariel his age, and when Dariel answers that he is 33, Alansil embraces him with tears, claiming that Dariel is his lost son. Dariel stands stunned, unable to believe it. Alansil insists that the 4 attributes Dariel possesses prove that he inherited them from him. Just then, Alansil senses another presence and attacks, only to be blocked by Granbarza, who suddenly appears. Granbarza speaks up, admitting that he too discovered the truth only a short while ago, that Alansil is father of Dariel. For most of his life, he only knew Dariel as a human child. When Dariel was 5, he could not use any magic, and that raised suspicion. After further research, Bashbarza realized Dariel was indeed human. However, Bashbarza confesses he kept this knowledge hidden because he never wanted to be separated from him. Hearing this, Dariel grows emotional, and he tells Bashbarza that he has never felt unlucky for being adopted, because Bashbarza not only raised him, but also always stayed by his side. Dariel says that everything Bashbarza has given him is something he can never repay, and that he has always felt like his real child. Bashbarza, moved by these words, embraces Dariel, saying Dariel has been his pride, and the very reason he became strong was his desire to protect him. However, Alancil gets angry, and he cries out that such a moment should have belonged to him as Dariel's true father. Instead, Bashbarza took everything from him, and that vengeance is what made him strong, because he lost the time he should have spent with his own son, and that time will never return. In response, Bashbarza tells him there is no need to direct this hatred at Dariel. If Alancil wants revenge, he can take it out on him instead. Then both men begin preparing to fight, their emotions boiling over. Dariel looks helpless, realizing he cannot stop them. Just as the clash is about to begin, Marika suddenly arrives, scolding them for acting like children. Then he introduces Gran to both Alancil and Bashbarza, telling them they are his grandfathers. This revelation shocks them deeply. Seeing their stunned faces, Dariel finally understands what he must do. He turns to Bashbarza and tells him that if he truly wishes for his happiness, then he must stay alive. Then he turns to Alancil and says he no longer needs him to be his father, because that time has passed, but he asks him instead to become a grandfather to his child and protect Gran. Hearing this, Alancil softens, smiles warmly, and begins playing with the child, remarking how lovable he is. The sight brings joy to everyone. Meanwhile, in another part of the kingdom, Bashbarza tries to hold a party at the cafeteria. But when he arrives, he sees the hall empty. Soon, he comes to know that everyone rejected his invitation, and the Demon King himself has stripped him of his title, as the army suffered too many losses under his command. Feeling abandoned, Bashbarza rages that everyone insults him only because of Dariel. He swears that he will burn Dariel to ashes, and in anger, he destroys the cafeteria with a massive blast. Yet back in the village, Alancil and Bashbarza spend time with little Gran. They watch him run and play, teasing each other like rival grandfathers. That evening, the family shares dinner together. Dariel feels happy as his 3 father figures, Bashbarza, Alancil, and Marika's father, are sitting at one table. The scene shifts as Granbarza recalls Dariel's childhood. Dariel once struggled to use magic, but his determination never wavered. Alancil admits he regrets not being there, but seeing how Bashbarza raised Dariel into a strong man, he is grateful. Then he shakes Bashbarza's hand, acknowledging his role. Dariel's happiness grows as he watches them reconcile. The next morning, Lady comes to meet Alancil, as she declares she must fight the Demon King, since that is the hero's duty. Dariel tries to explain that not all demons are evil, but Lady argues that defeating the Demon King would bring peace and also grant them his immense power and knowledge. At that moment, Bashbarza confirms the story is true. Long ago, the Demon King granted demons their magical abilities. Dariel realizes they could confirm this directly with the current Demon King, who has lived since ancient times. The revelation shocks Lady, but she resolves to fight anyway, saying she will only decide after seeing everything with her own eyes. Just then, Gashida rushes in with urgent news that a monster has attacked the mithril mine and reinforcements are needed. Dariel orders him to prepare a group immediately, and Zebiantes transports them quickly using her powers. They arrive at the site and find flames everywhere, blocking their path. A huge monster towers before them, so massive that Lady admits she has never seen anything like it. Bashbarza advises that they must descend carefully, because staying above is too dangerous. Once on the ground, a guard informs them that many servants are still trapped inside. Dariel, alarmed, declares he will save them and runs forward, praying for everyone's safety. But before he can act alone, Alancil arrives, insisting that Dariel should not go in by himself, declaring that he will share the risk. With this reassurance, the two enter together, stepping into the dangerous battlefield. Elsewhere, the massive dragon finally reveals itself. Satome, overwhelmed by the sight, asks how they can possibly stop such a creature. Lady responds firmly that there is no need to hold it back. They must destroy it completely. With this decision, Lady and Sesha rush forward, combining their abilities with the power of Zebiantes. They launch coordinated attacks directly at the dragon, but to their shock, the beast shows no sign of injury. The dragon counters fiercely, forcing them to retreat. Flames sweep across the ground, burning everything in their path. Satomi quickly shields her companions, but the fire is so intense that even her armor begins to melt. At this point, Granbarza steps forward, recognizing the creature. The beast is none other than the legendary Salamander, a magical being sealed long ago beneath the rocks. Realizing the danger, everyone prepares for a desperate battle. Elsewhere, mine workers are still trapped, but before Dariel can rescue them, Salamander arrives there causing commotion. The servants insist that the dragon must be dealt with first. Accepting this, Dariel and Alan still launch a joint assault from the air. Their combined strike lands heavily against Salamander, pushing the massive beast backward. The force sends it crashing down dangerously close to where Dariel lands, face to face with the creature. As Dariel braces for the next attack, Salamander suddenly stops and takes flight, retreating into the distance. This unexpected move surprises everyone, and Dariel's allies quickly gather around him, relieved that they survived. Granbarza grows serious, saying he must return quickly to the Demon King's castle because he has exhausted his magical energy, so he requests to be carried away, and Zebiantes agrees, flying off with him immediately. Meanwhile, Dariel looks around at the battlefield and notices the heavy injuries suffered by many. The sight weighs on him, and he feels guilty for not being able to protect everyone. Alancil reassures him, reminding him that no leader can handle everything alone, and that even the strongest must rely on others. Just then, a report arrives. One member of the guild has gone missing, likely trapped inside the mine. Hearing this, Alancil takes charge, telling Dariel to go ahead while he remains behind to manage the situation. The scene shifts to the Demon King's castle, where Granbarza confronts Bashbarza directly, asking whether he has entered the secret chamber. Bashbarza confirms this, saying that he remembers all the teachings from long ago. The secret chamber contains forbidden spells sealed away by their ancestors. These spells are more dangerous than any ordinary magic, which is why they were locked inside. Granbarza accuses Bashbarza of using one of these forbidden spells to control Salamander. Bashbarza defends himself, saying he possesses magical talent that Dariel lacks, and therefore it is natural for him to use such power. However, Granbarza scolds him harshly, declaring that by using forbidden spells, he has endangered countless lives, and he is unworthy of his title as a general. Furious at this insult, Bashbarza attacks Granbarza, and to strengthen himself, he summons Salamander and declares that with both the former hero and the current hero present at the same place, he will achieve the greatest victory by defeating them both. With Salamander under his control, he flies away, leaving Granbarza injured, who is warning him not to sink further into sin. Back at the mine, Dariel continues searching for the missing guild member. Suddenly, the ground trembles, and he encounters a mysterious creature who asks if he knows someone named Dariel. Startled, Dariel tries to deny it, but eventually he admits his identity. The creature then reveals that part of its body has been forged into a weapon, the same mithril weapon Dariel carries. This creature is none other than Gigantomachia, a magical earth-based entity. When Gigantomachia sees its body part crafted into such a fine weapon, it becomes pleased and rewards Dariel by removing the restrictions placed upon the blade, upgrading it into a more powerful form. Before leaving, Gigantomachia warns Dariel that Lux Village will soon become the battlefield. Elsewhere, the missing guild member is found alive. At the same time, Granbarza tells Dariel that Salamander is indeed being controlled by Bashbarza. He intends to use Salamander's overwhelming power to wipe out both the current heroes party and the village itself. The scene then shifts back to Dariel in Lux Village. Bashbarza approaches with Salamander, openly declaring that he will burn down everything Dariel cares for, including Marika. Before leaving, Marika gives Dariel a protective ring, promising that no matter what happens, she will always be by his side. Dariel thanks her and marches out to face Bashbarza. Outside the village gates, Dariel confronts Bashbarza directly. The enemy gloats, saying he will first kill Dariel's wife and then reduce the village to ashes. Dariel remembers Granbarza's old words, that he should protect Bashbarza if needed, but now, faced with betrayal, he resolves to stop him at any cost. The battle begins. Bashbarza orders Salamander to attack the village, and the beast releases a devastating wave of fire. Dariel and his allies fight back desperately, striking Salamander with combined weapons, managing to bring it down to the ground. Dariel then faces Bashbarza directly, who declares his ambition. He wishes to end the war between humans and demons forever, but to do that, he believes he must kill all heroes and become the greatest general in history. Dariel refuses to accept such reasoning, saying he will not allow Bashbarza's ambition to bring destruction. The duel intensifies, and Bashbarza gains the upper hand, striking Dariel down. Just as Bashbarza is about to finish him, Dariel remembers his family and loved ones. Drawing on this strength, he counterattacks with Sky Rend, unleashing a massive blast that shakes the battlefield. The clash reaches its peak, and Bashbarza is still alive. He has been saving one ultimate move to use against the hero, but now he is about to unleash his strongest attack move against Dariel. Elsewhere, everyone is dealing with Salamander, the mighty creature. Alancil looks at the scene and thinks that it is strange to be fighting alongside his former enemies, yet at the same time, for the first time in his life, he feels that he is truly fighting with all his strength. Hearing this, Granbarza smiles warmly, remarking that seeing demons and humans fight together is not such a bad thing after all. Then, Alancil teleports above Salamander and strikes a devastating blow, and at the same time, Granbarza also attacks the creature. Salamander comes under heavy attack, and it begins to burn. Meanwhile, Bashbarza, who has used a forbidden spell, transforms into a fearsome dragon-like form and charges directly at Dariel. With each strike, Dariel is pushed backward, struggling to keep his ground. Bashbarza snarls that he dislikes Dariel's smile, while Dariel shouts that Bashbarza must stop before more destruction is caused. However, Bashbarza declares that he will surpass every general and prove his power before launching another overwhelming attack. Flames burst violently around him, forcing Dariel to respond with the strength of his mithril weapon. Meanwhile, after Granbarza's deadly strike burns Salamander completely, leaving the creature motionless. The crowd praises Granbarza for his skill, believing Salamander is finally defeated. Yet on Dariel's side, the battle grows harsher. He channels the full might of his mithril weapon and counters Bashbarza with a huge blast, but instead of being weakened, Bashbarza becomes even more powerful. His form upgrades, his aura darkens, and his speed increases drastically. In a flash, Bashbarza grabs Dariel by the throat and slams him brutally into the ground. Dariel struggles to rise, but Bashbarza attacks relentlessly. Dariel blocks with his sword and warns him not to bring further regret to his father's name. This only enrages Bashbarza more. He shouts angrily that Dariel has no right to mention his father. Suddenly, the forbidden spell pulls Dariel into Bashbarza's memories. Inside this vision, Dariel witnesses Bashbarza's childhood. He sees how Bashbarza's father was celebrated for becoming a general, while young Bashbarza proudly declared that one day he too would reach the same rank. Granbarza encouraged him, but also told him he needed to become much stronger. Another memory reveals Bashbarza waiting eagerly for his father, who only returned home once a year. When his father finally arrived, young Bashbarza rushed to greet him, but his joy quickly turned to pain when he discovered that his father considered Dariel his elder brother. From that day, Bashbarza felt overshadowed and unloved. He carried this loneliness in silence, growing bitter. As time passed, Bashbarza excelled in his studies and topped the academy, determined to earn recognition. He told his mother that he wanted to join the Demon King's army, but she reminded him that his father seldom visited, and that she wanted him to stay with her. This rejection deepened his despair. Later, when Granbarza chose Dariel as his assistant instead of him, Bashbarza's resentment grew further, feeling that his existence had no worth. Back in the present, Dariel finally understands Bashbarza's loneliness, and he admits that he too once hid his weaknesses with a false smile, pretending everything was fine. Yet, when he found a place to belong, his life changed. Dariel tells Bashbarza that he could have also found that place if he had accepted help instead of closing himself off. For the first time, Bashbarza hesitates, wondering if things could have been different. However, the forbidden spell continues to break Bashbarza's mind. His form shatters, and he collapses back into his true self. Dariel extends his hand and tells him it is not too late, but before Bashbarza can respond, Salamander suddenly revives. It absorbs Granbarza's earlier attack and unleashes fiery destruction upon everyone. Bashbarza, realizing that the forbidden spell has failed, flies towards Salamander to stop it. Granbarza warns him not to act recklessly since Salamander's flames will rage out of control, but Bashbarza insists that he must atone for his sins. But Bashbarza carries Salamander far away. Suddenly he gets detached from Salamander as Granbarza saves him, and then Dariel finishes off the monster. After the battle, peace slowly returns. Dariel reunites with Malika, who rushes to him and embraces him with tears of relief. Dariel accepts her embrace warmly. Meanwhile, Bashbarza faces the Demon King, who tells him that past generals who committed crimes were cast into the hell, and now Bashbarza has two choices: to start over and redeem himself, or to fall into darkness forever. Bashbarza chooses the abyss, believing his sins are unforgivable. Yet the Demon King closes the gate, saying it was only a test. Since Bashbarza has shown true regret, he will be given another chance at life. Later, Bashbarza makes a friendly bond with everyone in the Lux village. As calm spreads, the family gathers for a portrait. Bashbarza joins them, finally smiling sincerely. The scene shifts to a celebration, where everyone enjoys food and laughter together. The next morning, Bashbarza decides to travel the world to help the wounded and atone for his past. Dariel encourages him, and they meet for one last time like true brothers. Malika also prepares a lunchbox for him, wishing him well on his journey.